This podcast is for general information only. It is not intended as a substitute for general healthcare services. If you have medical conditions, you need to see your doctor. Use of this information is at the user's own risk. Welcome to FitRx with Dr. Greg Dennis. Join me as we challenge the standard sick model of healthcare. This is your source for everything health, wellness, prevention, fitness, biohacking, and more. Before we get started on the podcast, I wanted to talk to you about ButcherBox. You may or may not be familiar with ButcherBox, but it is a membership-based service where they send you good quality meats every month, and this can consist of grass-fed beef, good quality pork, wild-caught fish. You can customize your boxes. I'm going to start my service on this as I'm just trying to increase the quality of my protein. If you know me and listen to my podcast, you know I stress the importance of protein, especially good quality protein, and this will ensure me that I get that, especially after listening to Dr. Bill Schindler's podcast or interviewing him. He had written a book called Eat Like a Human, and it just really motivated me to eat better quality proteins. And so I'm getting my box. I would encourage you to look into it in ButcherBox, and I now have a link you can use to get a discount. And if you use that link, you can get, as of right now, fresh caught salmon in every box for the next year. So I'm going to put that link in the show notes, and I would encourage you to check it out. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of FitRx. I'm your host, Dr. Greg Dennis. I am talking today with just really another fellow fitness enthusiast who is local here in Oklahoma, and she is the founder of something called Deeper Wells, which obviously we're going to talk about, and I'll let her kind of explain more about that, but it's really bringing, your physical, emotional, and spiritual health, which is honestly probably something I don't talk enough about on this podcast because it really should be a big part of overall just health optimization. She founded this. Really, it's a community of people who are like-minded, who just really stress all of these things. And she has kind of put this community together just to help people kind of achieve optimal health, again, spiritually, emotionally, physically. And it's just kind of a cool thing that she's done. And so I wanted to get her on the podcast. And as you know, I always like talking to people who like talking about health and wellness. And so I really wanted to get her on the show. So my guest is Libby Myrin. Again, founder of Deeper Wells, and I'll just kind of let her give a little bit more of an introduction. So, Libby, welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you, Greg. I'm excited to be included and appreciate the opportunity just to share a little bit of my journey and how it's kind of created a community, like you mentioned, of people that just want to gather for worship, workout, and wellness, and have tried all the things that the world says will give you the perfect health or the body or the younger you or whatever that looks like. And we've just realized that there's more to it than what is actual wellness. So I'm grateful that we got connected and eager just to discuss it.
Yeah. Well, I guess take us back to the beginning. You have an athletic background. You played sports. And so It sounds like you've been into wellness for a while. And so I guess talk about that and kind of your own journey and then how that led into, I guess, Deeper Wells. And then we can kind of go a little bit more in depth about Deeper Wells and what all you do there.
Yeah. So I was born in the early 80s. So that's about whenever the Jane Fonda home workout videos came out, and a lot of the magazines and TV and all the things that were telling women how they should look. And the emphasis was so much on appearance that got associated with your health and wellness. And just within my family and my community, that was just the topic of value in regards to what you looked like. And I fell into the trap. I definitely paid attention to what I weighed, what I ate, went through a period where I wouldn't eat any cheese because cheese was bad for you or fat or whatever. And so a lot of misconceptions about health, a lot of focus more on the appearance than the actual health and wellness of your body. I've always loved being active and still to this day feel like that's the best way I can relieve stress. It's the best thing that I do to really process my emotions, to move and just get that physical and chemically, that is the way our brains were designed. There is benefit in moving your bodies in those ways, but then I went into high school and college and just really got unhealthy and obsessive about it, as far as I have to go to the gym this many minutes and I have to push myself in this way. I joke that I've passed out on a treadmill from poor eating habits, but pushing myself to do the 5 miles that I'd committed to do. And so there's a bunch of unhealthy layers there that I own, but then also knowing that our culture doesn't help. I have a business background and I did marketing, and I actually, in studying advertising, saw the extent of manipulation with the latest fads and the trends and the business side of it, and just product are you going to sell to make money and different things. And so I feel like with all of that, the Lord's kind of exposed me to a lot of stuff. And then as I stepped into a role in ministry at the local church, then you hear the unhealthy views of how we view our body and take care of ourselves, and whether we think our health should be the last thing, like, well, I just need to go serve and give and sacrifice and do all the things, but I may be running on no fuel and be about to collapse, but I got to go do all the things too. Just the emphasis of, I'm afraid in a lot of ways the church has kind of presented health and wellness and just in regards to self-discipline. So then there's a lot of shame attached to it. And it's not the freedom of, our bodies are a temple and they are a gift, and we are supposed to use them to serve and love and enjoy this free life. And instead, people internalize and don't talk a lot about the shame that they have attached to their body. And so there's a lot of, it's a much deeper than just what we see on the outside. Well, then fast forward, my husband and I were trying to get pregnant, and I had that was a challenge. And you learned that the Lord's power is made perfect in weakness, because there's some things that you can't control about your body. And infertility is one of them. And then we got pregnant with my daughter, and it was a point where it changes whenever you think about the next generation. And I wanted to be able to teach the next generation truth. And so I went on a different journey with that, kind of in regards to fitness. At the same time, I got introduced to barre, which is a form of fitness. And it's, a combination of dance, strength training, Pilates, yoga, different things where I felt really good doing it. It didn't check the boxes in regards to, well, you got to do this many minutes a day and it burns this many calories, but I just felt so good after doing it that it got my attention. Fast forward, we moved back to Edmond. At this time, we'd been out of state with my husband's job, and my biggest need moving back was I was a stay-at-home mom, and I just needed community. I needed friends. And so I started a small group where we would gather and do these faith-based barre workouts, because I had become an instructor through that, and study scripture and just kind of be open and honest about our health struggles. Typically, barre is done in front of a mirror. And so people would share like, oh, I don't like the way I look, or it brought a lot of stuff to the surface that we were able to move and worship and process through our bodies. Through that, I got introduced to Revelation Wellness, which I highly recommend anyone that wants to explore combining their faith with fitness. Revelation Wellness has a podcast. They have an instructor training. They have a health and wellness coach, life coach program, and all different things. And it was encouraging to hear stories of other people trying to connect that faith and fitness and scripture with the strength training or whatever that looks like. Through Holy Bar, I got connected with different people that like I know somewhat about nutrition, but I got to know different people that like are trained in functional nutrition, or different ones that we were able to bring a variety of different resources. And I firmly believe we're better together. And so the Lord started just building this community together of unique passions and interest and skill sets and backgrounds and lessons learned the hard way that we want to share with other people, that the community, which is now called Deeper Wells, started to form. And so about a year ago, Deeper Wells became an official nonprofit, and Holy Bar is about to celebrate its 5 years of gathering. But through that, I've just gotten connected with, basically in central Oklahoma, with a chiropractor, a masseuse, people with physical therapist backgrounds, yoga, Pilates, dance fitness, where you just dance it out, or different nutrition elements, people that have found watercolor as a healthy therapeutic way to process all that's going on in their mind. And then we also utilize Revelation Wellness instructor resources and different studies that they have. And so it was definitely nothing ever that I set out to create. It's just kind of been unfolding one step at a time. But I think the coolest thing is people are able to experience health in a whole new way and experience freedom in a whole new way. They're still taking care of their bodies, but it's just so much more, it's a deeper thing in regards to, for example, in Holy Bar, we'll do a 45-minute workout. Then at the end, I'll ask one discussion question, like, and sometimes it's super deep, sometimes it's surface level, but the amount of sharing, that authentic, real, guys, this is what I'm dealing with today, that occurs after you've moved your body in a room where you know it's safe, like that might be the healthiest thing that happens to them all day. Yeah, they got a good workout and I made their muscles burn as their instructor, but the ability to process and get that out creates the biggest health. I think Dr. Caroline Leaf has, in a podcast episode that I listened to, talks about how even if you have the most nutritious breakfast you can imagine, but mentally you are stressed and anxious and struggling, your body won't absorb those nutrients the way you want. And so that holistic mind, heart, emotions, body, fitness, nutrition, all the things is just something that I feel like the Lord has walked me on this journey. And then there's a variety of other people coming around, and we're all really enjoying it. We have not figured it out, but we're enjoying it a lot more than anything we ever expected.
Well, very nice. So Deeper Wells is really just a community, sounds like, of, like you just described, of kind of like-minded people with different specialties. And you've
Yes.
just created a platform to get all these people together. Is that correct?
Yes. And it's one that we, again, it's just a baby of an organization. And a lot of us are in a season where it's not like our full-time gig. We've got other things going on. But, long term, we would love to have retreats where you can do different breakout sessions and all kinds of things. A lot of what has been happening now is more kind of like how you and I got connected, where someone will have a conversation with one professional and they're like, hey, why don't you meet this professional? There's been, within Deeper Wells, there's been a whole like prenatal, postnatal group where the chiropractor works with pregnant women. We'll also see babies. And then I know a fitness trainer that specifically wants to work with pre-postpartum women, to then a masseuse who is specifically helping parents connect with their newborn baby on a massage level. So like it's created a networking thing in this in this sense, and then also just an opportunity to support each other. But one day it'd be amazing to have our own building and a place where we can gather at a central location where it's kind of like a one-stop shop. But we'll see. We're
Yeah.
trying to just kind of see where the Lord leads it. So
Yeah. Well, very nice. How are you guys, the people who are involved in this, how are y'all getting together now to learn from each other? And you mentioned a chiropractor and nutritionist. I mean, how are y'all communicating with each other today to learn from each other?
yeah, we have a couple different platforms or channels. I mean, obviously there's the digital aspect in regards to a group me and text and different things. And we share everything on social media, and we have a website that can roll stuff out. But we typically just try to gather. This summer we kind of took a break, but my goal is like once a month just to come together. There's been some times where we've had a formal thing, like in January we met and we're like, okay, what are your goals for the year? What are your biggest concerns? What's going to hold you back? What is your big dream? Like, I know it sounds crazy, but it would be awesome if just kind of giving that platform and safe space to share, because then you can support each other with that. But then we'll also just gather and hang out. And just connect. We haven't scheduled any for this fall, but here locally in central Oklahoma, we'll do worship, workout, and wellness events. We'll have them like at a park outside on a Saturday morning and do a couple different little different pockets of workouts, as well as share about nutrition, give tools, kind of like an informal vendor thing with that. But we try to provide a variety of opportunities for different people in different seasons of life, because we know you have the people that are only available on the weekday versus the people that are never available on the weekday, and trying to connect different individuals and meet them where they are. So outdoor is our favorite because we know there's just a lot of benefit in being outside, but being in Oklahoma, it's always a bit of a gamble. So
Sure. So since you've been doing this, and you talked a little bit about your own health journey, and uh, talk about what you've learned even within the last year of now networking with this group of people. Again, you talked about a nutritionist and all these people. I mean, how has that changed what you do, or has it, on your own health journey? I mean,
yeah.
talk about kind of where you're at today, what you've learned, and what you feel like are some of the most the big things, some of the most important things to just optimizing one's health.
Yeah. I think there's been a lot of realizing that we kind of all struggle or challenge with have similar challenges. I think there's a lot of health in being honest with that. I know for me specifically, the past year has probably been one of the most emotionally and mentally stressful years of my life. But on the outside, if we're just looking at appearances, then it's like, yeah, I'm teaching bar classes, I'm doing all of this. Like, I look healthy, like, just for the season of life that I'm in. It's kind of like my job. But I did a nutrition assessment, which one of the gals that it was kind of a holistic thing where she did like a hair sample, but we also talked through what I ate and different things like that. And those results came back and they're like, well, it's very congruent with someone under a high amount of stress, and your body isn't absorbing the nutrients that it should. And if whenever we do this again, you need to start taking these supplements and really start eating more slowly and pay attention to what you eat and what your body absorbs and what fuels me the best. Because again, on the outside, it looked like and I don't mean that from a prideful way. I just know that like you don't really know what's going on inside. And if we only view our health from an external perspective, it could be really damaging. And I knew I needed to start taking care of myself, set back, think about what I was doing to rest, and fuel my soul rather than just keep going. And I think if it wasn't for the community that I've been a part of, I've learned so much about how our body is intricately and beautifully made, but we need to steward that and not ignore things that are red flags, but we want to keep going.
Yep.
So
So, and this is a kind of a big question, because we all have stress, some more than others. And, I see it every day in my own clinic, and people are really stressed out. And it's easy for me as a practitioner to say, well, you need to stress less, and they're like, okay, great, thanks. Um, and it's not an easy solution for sure, but if you will, can you give us any tips on that, of maybe things that you've seen success with in maybe your own life or working with other people when they are going through a stressful time, and we all do from time to time, of just, can you give us some tips on maybe how to better deal with stress?
yeah. And I do, for sure, I do want to emphasize that I do believe it's different for everybody, just like I think the foods that fuel us the best are different for everybody. But I do think the first thing I would encourage someone to do is really listen to their body and pause enough to see how they feel. I know, and if you are a believer, I often say, where what does worship look like to you, and where do you feel like your soul is settled and you can connect with the Lord? For me, I have learned that music is a huge thing for me. And anytime I feel that tension, I press play on our Holy Bar Spotify playlist and I just move. I For me personally, growing up playing basketball where you would just run and sweat, I getting that energy out is valuable. But I've also learned that a walk outside with the fresh air for me is way more of a healthy stress relief than if I was going to go do like a boot camp per se, because that doesn't, to me, that builds muscles, but it causes more tension inside. I think paying attention to what you eat, I know we carry so much stress in our gut. And there's a lot of things that they'll say, well, like take peppermint or do this or all the different things. But I think there is our body's going to process things differently. So pay attention to what you're eating, stretching. And some people like yoga, some people don't. But I think just the act of stretching and moving our body in that way. I'll meet a variety of individuals where their challenge is they need to be more active, but I also think there's many of us like myself that need to be less active, where we just lay on the bed on your back without your phone in silence and breathe slowly. Because I think often stress is building up the emotions that we're not dealing with. And so giving yourself the outlet to send it out. There's a lady that's a part of Deeper Wells that she has always loved journaling, and she offers journaling workshops because just the pen to paper does that. But I know a bunch of people love journaling. I really try to journal, but that's not what works for me. So I do think and I think hobbies, what brings you joy. I mentioned the gal that does watercolor. It is a trial and error thing, but I do think that there are multiple activities, even if it's just as simple as what music are you listening to? Do you stretch before you wait, like before you get ready for the day or at the end of the day? What are you eating? Where do you feel the tension in your body? Even where you feel the stress is an indicator of the emotion that you have. As far as, I think if your gut is fear, your heart is anxiety, or different things where you feel tightness. So I know that's not a specific answer, but I do think it needs to be more of a process, not just a take this and it'll be better.
For sure. It's not a simple answer. And that's what I tell
Right.
patients, all the time, because it's, as you mentioned, it's very individualized and you have to find what works for you.
Yeah.
But it's a constant work in progress, to kind of to find that. Well, very nice. Well, if people want to learn more about Deeper Wells, did they just go to the website? Or?
Yes. So deeperwellsok.com is our website. And if you go through there, you'll see a variety of opportunities that are separate posts and highlight different things centrally. Holy Bar is holybar.org if you're looking online. And we do have instructors in other states. It's kind of grown where now we offer an instructor training. If anyone's looking to bring it to their own community outside of Central Oklahoma, I'm happy to share more about that. And then we have a presence on social media and Facebook. Just the handle is Deeper Wells OK or Holy Bar. So we tried to keep it simple. And I think with both, there's ways to sign up with your email to get updates. We're in the talks of a podcast, or like I mentioned, retreats or different instructor trainings or resources or Bible studies or walking, hiking groups, those types of things that are growing around us. And then with all of that as well, like most of the communication comes to me. And so I am more than happy to connect to directly with anyone with all of that. So
before we start wrapping up, anything else that you want to throw out there that I did not ask you?
No, I think the big thing that I just want to emphasize is that we truly are better together. I think if anyone is trying to do a health and wellness journey on their own, it's going to get exhausting. And I think you need to find a physician that you connect with, and a clinic and a team, and you need to find a way to move your body that brings you joy. And I believe group fitness has value in that, or a walking buddy. And I just think for myself included, but also for so many, we just kind of try to do it ourselves. And I don't think that's healthy or the way it's designed. And that's where the shame and the stress and all of that comes in, is whenever we only spend the energy up in our head. So talk to someone and be real. I promise you are not the only one that's trying to figure out how to take care of yourself. We all are. But don't go to just like social media to do that, because those ads aren't always trustworthy. So let's talk to professionals face to face, the good old way.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I'll have the deeperwellsok.com. I'll have that in my show notes, and a little bit of a shorter podcast today, but I like what you're doing. And I definitely wanted to just introduce what you're doing to my listeners, especially those that are local, that may find a benefit from that. And so as we wrap up here, I always ask my guest if you could give us one health tip that would make us healthier today. What would you say to that?
I would say, and I've mentioned it some, but I'm going to go to it again, just be still enough to pay attention to how you feel. Whether that's if you feel like going on a walk, go on a walk. If you feel like grabbing the weights, grab the weights. If you feel like eating the healthy meal, eat the healthy meal. If you feel like having dessert, have a little bit. Whenever we make rules and have-tos and regulations, that's not the freedom that we are designed to live in. So.
Okay. All right. Well, appreciate it, Miss Libby Myrin with Deeper Wells. And thank you for your time. Appreciate everyone listening as always. And I will talk to you next time.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to FitRx. I invite you to share this with friends and family. If you would like to contact me, you can visit our website at fitrxwellnessok.com, or you can email me at drgreg@fitrxwellnessok.com.